Welcome again, Rob Brown here. If you're here for the 5-step daily success formula, you are in the right place, and I am excited to have you with me. I read this great quote as I was getting ready for today's presentation. I think it's a great way to kick off what I want to talk about today. Gary Keller said, "It is not that we have too little time to do all the things we need to do, it is that we feel the need to do too many things in the time we have." I know, even though I try to practice what I preach and implement my own success formula on a daily basis, sometimes I let so much stuff stack up that I forget what's important. And that's a big part of the 5-step daily success formula that we're going to cover today. So you might be thinking, who is this presentation for? For those of you who don't know me, I work as a coach to financial planners, financial advisors, and RIAs. So if you're one of those folks, you're in the right place. If your expertise helps people achieve their most important financial goals, you do financial planning, you do investment work, you help people plan for retirement, this presentation is for you. If, when you think about growing your business, key things that you focus on metrics-wise are the growth of your assets under management and increasing your recurring revenues, this presentation is definitely for you. Here's what you're going to learn. I'm going to show you that it only takes a few weeks, and really you can do this in a week. It only takes a few weeks to go from being trapped in a constant time crunch to controlling what you decide to do with your time. Not what other people decide to do with your time, but what you decide to do with your time, because it is your time. I'm going to show you how to quit running ragged and become the best version of yourself. I think that's something that we all ascribe to do, is to become the best versions of ourselves. And we can't do that when we're tired and run down and running ragged. So a success formula, a daily success formula, is extremely important. And what you'll quickly find out, again, I see this happen very, very quickly. You're going to quickly find out that you can get hours back in your weeks, every week, week in and week out. And that's what you're going to learn today. My biggest promise to you is that I'm going to give you my 5-step success formula to regain control of your business, and in many cases your life, because this can't help but have an impact on the stuff that happens away from your office, away from your business, so that in the end you get more done in less time each and every day. That's my promise to you, to give you that formula to put to work. I've made one assumption, or maybe it's better to say I've made 3 assumptions packed into one long sentence. I am going to assume that you are really good at what you do. You hold yourself to the highest standards, and you're willing to look at things differently. You see, I get advisors all the time asking me, Rob, tell me, what does it require for someone to work with you? Do you have, firm minimums? And I do different programs for different people, but the core things that I look for in any client that I take on is that you're good at what you do. You work, you hold yourself to high standards, and you're willing to make changes. You're willing to look at things differently. You don't always think, well, I can't look at this. I can't change this. I can't do this because that's not how I've always done things. But if you're good at what you do, you hold yourself to high standards, and you look at things differently, then the concepts that we'll talk about today will really fit you and your business. So let me run a couple of statements by you and ask you, does this or do they sound like you? I hear this from advisors all the time. I have some months where new assets just pour into my business, but I just can't seem to make it happen every month. And when we dig in deeper as to why this is happening for these advisors, oftentimes it's not their prospecting or marketing approach. It's the fact that they don't have enough time to do their prospecting and their marketing. It becomes inconsistent, so their results, the assets coming into their business, are inconsistent. Does that sound at all like your business? How about this? I leave the office at the end of the day feeling like the day got the best of me. I didn't get the important stuff done. I can't clear my mind. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm really there for my family. Does that sound like you at all? You know, I think we all feel that way from time to time. So I'm not trying to point fingers here, because I can promise you that any of the symptoms and maladies that come from just being, running yourself ragged are things that we all experience from time to time, even if we are trying not to, even if we have systems like me that I've built to avoid them. This stuff happens. I had this message from one of my clients, actually it's a former client, a few months ago. He said, I take on too many types of clients with various needs. And he put in quotes, maybe that's my first mistake. He said, my poor assistant is probably losing her mind. Because of this, I have entirely too many solutions for clients when most have very similar needs. Should be simple, but I lay awake at night thinking about how to do this all the time. I lay awake at night. You shouldn't lay awake at night worrying about your business. And when you have a success formula, when we implement a success formula, that worry goes away. You sleep better. And I'm going to share some specific examples of that later in this presentation. But the real problem is you haven't created a daily success formula. These things that I just talked about, where your new business doesn't flow in regularly, or you don't get important stuff done and you're not there for your family. You lay awake at night. Those are just symptoms. The real problem is you don't have a daily success formula. And a lot of times it's not your fault, because there's a whole bunch of stuff and ideas thrown at you, and there's nobody there to kind of sort that out and help you figure that out. And I'm going to do that today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rob Brown. I am the founder of Encore Partners. Here I am up in the corner. I'm not going to keep my video up too long. I don't want to distract anybody, but I'm the founder of Encore Partners. I've been in the financial advice business for over 30 years. I was a very successful advisor. I helped run a medium-sized investment advisory firm with about 250 other advisors. And since 2002, I've been a coach through my own firm, Encore Partners. And during this time, I also wrote a book, Delivering the Ultimate Client Experience. So that's me. That's enough of a commercial and probably enough of seeing me. So I'm going to turn the video off. All right, good deal. So next, you're thinking, okay, Rob, you gave us a lot of your background, but why should I trust you? Why should I listen to you when it comes to talking about a daily success formula? And I am going to make a confession. I hate to admit this, but I am addicted to time management ideas and philosophies. From my very first days in training. I started back in 1984 at Dean Witter. I listened to people talk about how, you have to be willing to work hard, put in 12 and 14-hour days. But underneath the surface, there were concepts and ideas that quickly showed that, if you really concentrate your time, really focus each day on those things that are most important, there's time for everything. So I've studied that over and over again. There was a period in my business where I implemented some new routines that I would say helped me triple my personal assets under management in a 2-year period of time. And my success formula, my daily success habits added to that. So not only have I studied it, not only have I watched the habits of top performing advisors, I've implemented these ideas in my business and in the businesses of the advisors that I work with today and coach. So that's why I want you to listen to me. I've done this, I've helped implement it, and I've had tons and tons of success. And I'll share some examples of that success as we continue through this presentation. So the next thing, though, that you have to think about, and this is part of my process. Oh, there it goes. I was having trouble with the slide there for a second, is you have to kind of get a sense of where you are today. So one of the things that I have developed through my role here at Encore Partners is this hierarchy that helps advisors look at their businesses and the different levels that you move through as you move to higher and higher levels of success. A big part of that movement is what I call your currency. And the currency is the ideal client's arrow that goes up the left side of the pyramid. The more ideal clients that you work with, the better your business will be. It's just a fact. And I'm not going to go into this in detail, but on top of that, you'll see to the left, there are some symptoms of what advisors look like at different stages. Early on, probably under the $50 million level, you're scrambling because you're trying to be all things to all people. And I know, and I've worked with a lot of terrific advisors who have been at this 10, 15 years. They're still kind of at that $50 million precipice. And one of the main reasons is they're scrambling. They're scrambling too much. But when you move to that next level where you are moving from aspiring to achieving, you can still feel overwhelmed because now your business is humming along. And instead of instead of being all things to all people, you're more clearly focused on who your ideal clients are, but time is at a premium. Some of that time, maybe that you were spending building your business, you now have to spend with your clients because your clientele is growing. So time is at a premium. You have to have success formulas. Then it's possible to become impatient. Even though you're thriving, you've blown through that $200 million level, you're impatient. You're even more excited to grow. Your success formula becomes even more critical, or actually not even more critical, just as critical. You have to stick with it. You can't abandon the things that work. And then finally, you move to the dominating level where you're assured, you feel freedom and accomplishment. And that really comes from having committed to those success formulas. So I want to show you this hierarchy because I want you to think about your business. We all go through these stages in our businesses. We all are scrambling at times, or overwhelmed, or impatient, or assured. Where are you today? How do you feel about your business? Do you resonate with some of these symptoms? Maybe they don't match exactly up to the numbers, but if you do, then you have to have a system for moving yourself out of there. My system is what I call the Encore business optimization process. And quite simply, it helps the clients that I work with get from the bottom left-hand corner, point A, to the top right-hand corner, point B. So where they are today, where you are today, where we are today, and then where we want to be at some defined point in time in the future. And when you understand where you are today and where you'd like to be, then you have to have a process. an action plan for moving through that. And that's what this roadmap is all about. It is an action plan. It has 3 levels: foundation, elevation, mastery. We don't have time today to go through all of the different levels. But I wanted to point out that at the foundational level is the very thing that we're talking about today. In the success habits step, the third step of the foundational level, the third step of the roadmap is success habits. And inside of success habits is developing that 5-step daily success formula. So I just want to give you some context. I want you to be thinking about, where are you today? Where would you like to go? And then let's concentrate on the success formula. This will help you move to that next level. It's an important part of the process. So let's jump right in now to the 5 steps, the 5-step formula for daily success. Step number 1 is know what matters. You know, all too often when I'm speaking with an advisor and we're considering working with one another, I'll ask the question, what is really most important to you? What are your biggest personal and professional goals? And what I find is those goals, those passions, those ideas are hidden. And I don't believe that you can plan your business or plan your day unless you have a clear vision of what those goals are. In fact, just to take it back to the roadmap for a second, picture success is actually the very first step of my process. So I make the assumption here that you have that picture of your success, and then you need to begin thinking about the activities that will lead to accomplishing your goals. So it's not just the goals, it's not just the vision, it's the steps. And when you have the vision and the steps, you begin to get quick results. Easy for me to say. You begin to get quick results because, first and foremost, you can make informed decisions. Everything that you decide to do can be batted up against that picture of success and those activities that are going to lead to your success. And you can ask yourself, should I take this extra thing on? Should I keep doing this thing because I don't know, because I haven't, let me back up a second. You can then ask yourself, does that match up with your activity? So if it's not going to help you accomplish your goals, if it's not one of your core activities, then maybe you can put it aside. If you're doing something and maybe you thought it was a good activity, but it's not helping you achieve that picture of success, achieve your vision, achieve your goals, you can drop it. And when you can use that as a measuring stick, as a barometer to make informed decisions, you end up eliminating procrastination. You reduce stress because decisions become easier. You get more done in less time. You can better manage your client and prospect relationships, and you can have what I call an ideal day every day. And I'm going to give you a picture of what that ideal day might look like in the last 3 steps of the success formula. So you first have to start by knowing what matters. And the best way to do it is to write it down. What I have up on the screen in front of you now is a list of many, maybe most of the activities that advisors and planners engage in on a day-to-day basis. Maybe there are some that I've left out, but I bet you this covers 80, 90, 95% of them. What I want you to do, and you can do it right now while I'm talking, start writing down those activities that you engage in on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis that really have an impact on you achieving your goals. Is it the phone calls and messaging that you do with clients and prospects? How about those in-person appointments, those networking events? How about time that you spend meeting with your team? A time that you spend doing research or planning for meetings, planning proposals. How about your personal time? You can't leave that off because sometimes, or not sometimes, your personal time intersects with your business time. So write down those things that matter most. When you first write them down, just create a list. Don't feel like you have to copy everything that's on here because you may not be doing them. I know some advisors that do all of their client acquisition through networking. You may not be a networker, so don't put that on your list. What are the activities that will help you accomplish your greatest goals? When you picture your success, which of these things will help you do it? And then write them down. And as you write them down, think of them in more bite-sized pieces. So this is an overly simplistic example, but let's just say that you decide that client appointments are critical to your success. And then you look at the number of clients that you work with and how often you promise to meet with them. What does that mean to you in terms of the number of client meetings that you need to have per week? What about prospect appointments per week? A little bit of a typo here, but let me actually fix that while I'm talking so don't miss it the next time. But what about prospect appointments per week? You know, you meet with 4 clients per week. That's, 16 clients a month. If you're meeting with your clients twice a year, that's 96 clients that you could handle meeting 4 clients per week. Think about that math. Same with prospect appointments. If you think about the number of new relationships that you want to bring into your practice, you compare that to your closing rate, you can get a feeling for how many prospect appointments that you need each week. And what about more personal, shorter touches, telephone contacts with clients, or telephone contacts, or even messaging or emailing with prospects or clients, but that personal one-to-one kind, not any bulk stuff that you send out. Maybe it's after school events. Maybe you have children in school and you want to get to 2 events that regularly occur each and every week. So this first step of the daily success formula is knowing what matters. Think about those things that you do on a regular basis that help you achieve your goals and break them down. It should be a short list. It should be, less than 10 items, probably just 5 or 6 items, real key items that are critical to your success. And I'm going to show you how to apply those to your day in just a minute, but you have to start by thinking about what matters. Once you understand what matters, you can move to step 2. And step 2 is commit to simplicity. If there's probably one thing at the core of the 5-step daily success formula, it's the concept of simplicity, of thinking about your business in as simple a way as you possibly can. To have a statement, a mantra of this is who I am, and this is what I do, because I know when I do these things that all come from knowing what matters, my business is going to get where I want it to go. I've put on the screen in front of you now an example of what I call a simplicity commitment. And I'm going to read it. It says, "From this point forward, I resolve to make my business life less complicated. I commit to a 5-hour workday." I'm going to talk about that more in a minute. "I will call all my top-tier clients during the first 2 weeks of the month because they are the most important part of my business. And I put my assistant in charge of scheduling. I don't need to have control of my own calendar. I obtain the majority of my new clients through referrals. and I discard all emails, newspapers, magazines, and research reports that I don't read the same week I receive them. So those papers, reports that are sitting up on my desk, I throw them in the trash can, throw them in the recycle bin. Those emails that are sitting in my inbox or my to be read later box that aren't important, I delete them. But this is a way of taking those things that you say are most important to you and boiling them down into your simplicity commitment. The commitment that you make to yourself, because it's going to help you it's going to lead you to achieving your biggest goals. This is really important. When I see advisors do this, when I help advisors do this, the results are incredible. I had one advisor tell me that she did more business in 10 days than she had done in the previous 4 months because she committed to simplicity. She got rid of all of the distractions. So you might be thinking, a 5-hour workday, that sounds crazy. Well, committing to simplicity really requires just, 5 key things to think about. Think about your workday. Work is not everything that you do. It's making sure that your clients come first. It's thinking about how you schedule things. How do you make that as simple and straightforward as possible? How do you stop wasting time on prospecting and client acquisition results that don't matter? And how do you eliminate distractions? Those are really the 5 questions that you're answering as you're making your own simplicity commitment. Again, this commitment is just an example. It probably doesn't look like what you will say, but I wanted you to see an example because this specific commitment has helped the person who wrote it do incredible amounts of new business and grow because of that commitment, because of this statement. So think about work. What is your work day? What do you define work to be? I told you that early in my career, when I was still in training, actually as a Dean Witter in New York City, I learned from a guy that he didn't believe in a 14-hour workday or 12-hour workday, even though everybody else was saying that he had a 6-hour workday. And that 6-hour workday was based on doing things that were important to his business. He wasn't trying to be a kamikaze. He was looking at those things like meeting with clients, talking to prospects, doing his planning, scheduling time for himself, grouping together similar tasks. And he felt, I can get it all done in 6 hours. I don't have to be going crazy because the more time you give yourself to do stuff, the more you'll do it. I think that's Parkinson's law. The second thing that's part of this commitment to simplicity is that clients come first. And when I talk about clients here, I want you to also think about future clients, your prospects. You ought to be spending at least 50% of your time in client-facing activities. But most advisors, based on the surveys that I've seen in the last, actually over many years, but just recently saw one about 2 months ago, most advisors are spending less than 30% of their time on client-facing activities. Think about that. If you're at 20% now and you can just get yourself up to 40% now in terms of client-facing activities, your business would more than double because this is like compound interest. The more time you spend with them, the more business that you do because the more opportunities come up because you're spending time where it matters most. Committing to simplicity also includes scheduling, as I mentioned. How are you scheduling? How are you getting things done? Are you trying to schedule everything yourself, or do you allow someone on your team to schedule for you who's probably better at that than you are, who's better at saying no to things that aren't important? Are you stopping prospecting activities that just don't work for you? Are you cleaning up your database so you're talking to the right number and the right type of prospects on a regular basis so you're adding new ideal clients? Are you eliminating distractions? You know, do you think about the things that break up your day that may get in the way of your productivity? You might think, well, hey, I can run out to the grocery store to get this, get some dinner tonight, you know, in the middle of the day, and I'll just bring it back to the office and put it in the refrigerator. It'll only take me a few minutes. It'll be a good break. And the next thing you know, that good break isn't the 10 minutes or 20 minutes that you thought it was. It's an hour and a half. You've got to eliminate those distractions. You have to put first things first. And that's what goes into creating your simplicity pledge. Think about, what is your workday? Define what work is to you. What are your most important activities? Make sure you're putting your clients first and your client-facing time first. Make sure your scheduling is clean and you're not getting bogged down in too many decisions. Give scheduling up if you possibly can. Get rid of prospecting and marketing and client acquisition systems that don't produce results, and eliminate distractions. And when you do those things, you can come up with your own simplicity pledge. So the second thing that I want you to do, you can do it while I'm talking now, or actually probably better to wait until after the presentation. But the second thing that you can do is you can write out your own simplicity pledge. Don't worry about somebody looking over your shoulder. This is your pledge, your commitment to yourself. And maybe when you polish it, you'll share it with your team. But for right now, the best way to create the pledge is start with those activities that you deem to be important. You wrote those down in step 1. Now in step 2, convert them to your simplicity commitment. 2 vital steps for daily success. Let's move to step 3. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to build a baseline in your calendar. And the reason I have a blank calendar up in front of you right now is I don't want you to build your success formula around the activities and routines the way they are in your calendar today. Because I'm guessing if you're listening to this video or you're on this live web training, you're here because you have a problem with your schedule. You aren't getting things done the way that you want, and maybe it's because you haven't formulated your scheduling, your success formula the right way. So start with the blank calendar. Start with the blank calendar, and then build your baseline. Here is an example of a baseline. In this example, what I am suggesting is that the most important activities, which are part of a simplicity pledge, are telephone and messaging with clients and prospects, and meeting with clients and prospects, and getting away from the office a couple of days early. In one example for a school event, and the other example for a board meeting. You know, what are those baseline activities? When you started to look at your key activities, when you wrote your simplicity pledge, what were the baseline activities that you know need to repeat themselves week after week after week? Plug those into your blank calendar first. Again, I just use telephone and message with clients, telephone and message with prospects, prospect appointments, client appointments, getting away early. I even put an evening appointment on there because I talk to a lot of advisors. You know, sometimes I have to work a little bit late because I have some key clients or some key prospects that can't meet during the day. Plan for that. Make that part of your baseline. And the most important thing about establishing your baseline is trying to make it as consistent as you can from week to week. Now, I know that sometimes your clients aren't going to be able to meet with you during the times that you have blocked off. Well, just move one of your client appointment times to another time. But wherever possible, say to your clients, you know, I have most of my client meetings on Tuesday afternoons. Will that work for you? If you push them that way, and actually you shouldn't be saying that, your assistant should be saying that, but if you push them that way, you don't try to schedule at the last minute, you can make this work for you. but you have to start by building a baseline. So think about your simplicity pledge. Think about those things that are most important to you and put those on the calendar. One of my favorite stories, and this actually comes from my career as an advisor, that period where I told you I was able to triple my business over a 2-year period of time, I had a success formula. It was my equivalent of the simplicity commitment. I just didn't call it that back then. And it was simply 12 by 12, 2 by 5, plan each day. And the idea was to talk with 12 clients or prospects before noon each day. So I blocked that off, to have at least 2 in-person meetings a day, 5 days a week, 2 by 5. And then plan each day was the planning time that I wanted to have to make sure I got it all done. But that was my baseline. I'm going to talk about planning time in a few minutes, and I'll make it really simple for you. But that's how you think about your baseline. I have a client right now who is doing what he calls Lucky 13. And that Lucky 13 is having 1 client meeting, 1 prospect meeting, and 1 networking meeting every day. And then he has 5 opportunities each day to reach out to prospects that he knows, and 5 opportunities to reach out to prospects that he doesn't know. This advisor is heavily focused on growth. So he's plugging his Lucky 13 into his baseline, into his calendar each day. And he's only doing it 3 days a week because those are his days to focus on it. So again, those are ideas of a baseline that come from thinking about your key activities, creating a simplicity commitment, and then starting to lay that out on your new calendar for success. Step number 4 is don't forget the details, because the details are sometimes the things that kill your baseline, that kill those big activities. It's returning calls and emails. It's preparing for appointments or doing research. So the example that I'm sharing here is, instead of randomly returning your calls and emails, schedule time in your day each day to do it. You'll get it done faster. You'll be more efficient, and your clients will know what to expect from you. Your team will know what to expect from you. So in this example, I'm saying, hey, right before lunch, return calls and emails. Right before you leave in the afternoon, return calls and emails. If you build, 2 30-minute times into your day, once you get this routine down, you can do that and you'll save an amazing amount of time. Same with preparation and research. Schedule it on your calendar. Think of these things as appointments that you're making with yourself. The appointments that you make with yourself are just as important as appointments that you make with clients and prospects, because most of the appointments that you make with yourself to prepare and research are for your clients and prospects. So put them on the calendar. Don't forget the details. Once you establish that baseline, begin adding the details. The first 2 I suggest are prep and research, calls and emails. Other suggestions that I would have you consider are adding a stand-up meeting to your calendar every day, where you stand up with your team, even if it's you and just one other person, and talk about what's going on in the office. I'm going to give an example of that in a second. And scheduling in business development time. So we started with the baseline. We added some details, calls and emails, preparation, research. Now we're adding a stand-up meeting, having a team lunch, do some team planning on Mondays, and doing some business development work on Friday mornings, where you spend time working on your business, not in your business. You hear that all the time, right? Those things are important. Those are important details. Add those to your baseline. Don't forget them. Plan for them. Make them appointments that you keep, just the way you keep appointments with your clients and your prospects. I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes talking about one activity in particular, because it has had an amazing impact on the team of one of my clients. This is an advisor. He's running what is now a $250 million practice. When we first started working together, he wasn't even $100 million. And when I talked to him about some of the key things that he's implemented as a result of our working together and talking about the success formula, working through the roadmap, he said, it's the stand-up meeting. He said, I hated doing meetings, so all of our meetings were often. We rarely had them. And when you told me, he said, when you told me to have a meeting every day, I wanted to throw up, because who wants to have a meeting every day? But I showed him exactly how to do a stand-up meeting. He stands around the desk, not his desk, but the desk of one of the key people on his staff. Each day, he actually does it first thing in the morning. He does it each day, and during that meeting, they each say, this is what I got done yesterday, and hit the highlights, not every little thing, hit the highlights, the most important stuff. This is what I need to do today, and maybe I need some help with it. And then asking for help or offering help to others. And they just go through that simple 3-question dialogue. What did you do yesterday? What's most important that you're working on today? And what do you need help with? And when you do that every day as a team, these stand-up meetings don't take a half an hour. They take 15 minutes, even with bigger teams. And it gets everybody on the same page. It eliminates interruptions. Remember early on, one of the things I said about establishing a daily success formula is that it helps you eliminate distractions. When you have a stand-up meeting, you don't have to bug your assistant about something because it came up in the meeting already. She doesn't have to bug you, or he doesn't have to bug you and interrupt you and get you off the other things that are important. So it's probably one of, well, I shouldn't say, these are all important. I don't want to minimize any of them, but sometimes when I talk about a stand-up meeting, people say, I don't like meetings. There's no way I can do it every day. And I can tell you that the client that I was just talking about, Ron, has an extraordinarily successful practice, a team that operates better than any team that I'm currently working with. And one of the keys to their success is that daily stand-up meeting. So that leads me to step number 5, 3D planning. So I put this on the screen in gold because this probably is the most valuable thing that you can do when it comes to the success formula in keeping it running day in and day out. Do daily planning. And I like to think, I call it 3D planning because it has 3 specific elements to it. Before I get into those elements, I want you to look right now at your to-do list. I don't care if you have it on your computer, on a scratch pad, on a sticky note, if you keep it just in your head, think about it. Is it confusing? Is there stuff on there that really doesn't need to be done? Is there stuff on there that somebody else on your team should be doing or could be doing, or something that one of your strategic partners could be doing? And then what is it that you really need to do today? Most often, when the folks that I work with look at their calendars, their to-do lists, they find that they're just chock full of stuff that they don't need to do, no one needs to do it, and that they haven't delegated. So that may give you a clue of what 3D planning means. It's a simple process of every morning looking at your to-do list while you're doing your daily planning and asking yourself, what can be deleted? What did I scratch onto my pad yesterday because I thought it might be important, but really isn't important, or it's been on there for a few weeks and I keep putting it forward. Just cross it off. If it's really important, it will come back. What's on my to-do list that I can delegate, that I can give to someone else on my team? This is really important for folks who are micromanagers, and they tend to think, well, there's no reason to give it to somebody else to do because I can do it better or faster. And the truth is, you're probably paying somebody else to do those tasks. That's what they're good at, and it's not what you're good at. So don't be afraid to delegate. It's extraordinarily important. And then the third D is do. What do you absolutely need to do yourself? And pick the top 2 or 3 items that you need to do that day. Don't give yourself 10 things to do. Look at the time that you have available in your day based on your calendar. Where's it going to fit in? But ordinarily, the things that you have to do relate to the time that you have available in your day or the activities that you already have scheduled. And if it's something that you need to do, but you don't need to do it today, you can plan it forward. You can keep it on your to-do list, but for a future planning time. But if you take the time every day to spend 15 to 30 minutes planning using delete, delegate, do, you will get more done in each day. Your calendar will make more sense each and every day. So that's why 3D, oh, I almost forgot. Another part of 3D planning is spending time doing weekly planning. And this is not team planning with your team. This is you. So you have your daily planning that you do, but every week, look at the week ahead. I have a client that I'm working with right now who started implementing weekly planning on Sunday nights. And the reason that he's doing it on Sunday nights is he was finding that he was falling asleep on Sunday, worried about the week, worried about whether he's going to get everything done. And so it kind of ruined the weekend and made him wake up sleepy the next day. So he's doing this on Sunday nights. But, you know, if you spend the time one day a week, probably Monday morning, could be Sunday evening, could be Friday before you leave, thinking about the week ahead, you'll be able to look at how the pieces all fit together. And then you'll keep it running because every day you're doing planning. You're doing your 3D planning. And you have your system rolled out. So that's it. Those are the 5 steps. Oh, I almost forgot. There's a bonus. I want to share this bonus with you because this is one of my other favorite things to think about. Morning routines. Things that you do at home before you come into the office that have nothing to do with work, but just make you start the day as the best version of yourself as you can possibly be. I've used morning routines for years. And I just started a new one, and that's why I really wanted to make sure that I noticed this. I actually read a book called The 5 a.m. Club. It's a great book. It's kind of a silly story with really important concepts in it. And so I have started getting up at 5 o'clock every morning, spending 20 minutes exercising, 20 minutes praying, and 20 minutes journaling. And I just started doing this. Today was day number 39. It is the best morning routine I have ever engaged in. I'm feeling more fit. I feel more energy. My days go better. And part of it is because of those things that I do in that first hour, that 5 a.m. hour. But also because I've got from 6 until I start my day to kind of do things before anybody can start bothering me. So I actually have adjusted my calendar up. 8 a.m. isn't my start time anymore. I've literally gotten hours back in my days this way. And morning routines are essential. So maybe, you know, the 5 a.m. routine isn't the same thing for you. But instead of getting up in the morning and, you know, checking your smartphone, you know, what if you spend some time praying or meditating? Make sure you get a little bit of exercise in. Spend some quality time with your spouse or your kids, and just enjoy the morning. Start your day doing things that aren't distracting, that really allow you to become a better version of yourself. So that's a bonus. So I'm not putting it here as step number 6, but I probably should, because morning routines, things that you do to get yourself ready, like a runner getting ready for a race, are just as important as the race itself. So here they are, Let me just do a quick summary, and I've got a couple of other things to share with you. So the 5-step daily success formula is: know what matters, commit to simplicity, build a baseline, don't forget the details, and do 3D daily planning. I guarantee you, if you do these things, you will feel better about yourself, you'll get more done in less time, and your business will grow. And that's why that's at the foundation of my process. So let me do a quick review. I told you that, well, I promised you that what you would learn is it only takes a few weeks to go from being trapped in a time crunch to controlling what you decide to do. Implementing this process, you can do it in a week. It may take a couple of weeks to adjust to it, maybe even a few months, to get it exactly right. But within a few weeks, you will start to see results. You'll quit running ragged because you're working on the most important things that you need to do. You become a better version of yourself, and you'll get hours back in your week every week. I also promised you that I would give you that formula. So you have it. I've told you exactly how to put it into place. It's a 5-step formula that will allow you to regain control of your business and your life, so you get more done in less time each and every day. So I don't know about you, but I feel really good. I feel great right now, in fact, because I think that I have executed on this promise. And that leaves you with 3 essential questions. So we're not going to have time to take questions during this presentation, but I want you to ask and answer these 3 questions as you're putting together your 5-step daily success formula. Where are you today? Where is your business today? Do an honest evaluation of how things are going. And maybe especially since we're talking about the success formula as it relates to your success habits, those things that you're doing every day that help you become a better version of yourself. And then ask yourself, where do you want to go? If you're at point A today, everybody's at a point A today. Where are you at your point A, and where do you want to be in the future? Be willing to ask yourself, how does my success really look? I know where I am today. I know the things that I struggle with. I know the things that I like to accomplish. And I'm not suggesting that you beat yourself up, because honestly, we all have things that we can improve. But most importantly, we're all great human beings who are doing good things for our clients every day, day in and day out. So don't look at this as being a negative. You're just trying to be a better version, the best version of who you are. So where are you today? Where do you want to go? And then ask yourself, are you committed to getting there? Because the truth is, when a lot of people hear a presentation like this, they feel like they're being picked on. And I'm not picking on you, because as I said before, we all feel like this from time to time. But are you really committed to getting there? Are you really committed to making change and standing out in the crowd? Because I truly believe that if you implement the 5-step daily success formula, you can stand out in the crowd. And so you have 2 choices. You can either kind of keep doing what you're doing, or you can commit to making those changes. And you can make those changes on your own. You can implement those 5 points. I showed you exactly how to do it. But if you want someone who is an expert at implementing that success formula and some of the other ideas that I shared that relate to the success formula, you and I should talk. I'm not talking about a sales pitch. I know some of the folks who are on this call I've met before. We've had some conversations. I see some clients and some former clients on this call. That's awesome. But if you're serious about implementing the success formula, if you're serious about standing out in the crowd, getting to where you want to go, we should talk. So what I do is I offer a 1-hour deep dive strategy session where we will talk about you and your business and anything that is important to you. And if that is building a success formula, we'll do it. And I'll give you a specific plan coming out of that deep dive session to make your business better, to make you a better version of yourself. All you have to do is go to encorepartners.com/apply. That's encorepartners.com/apply. You'll come to a page that looks something like this. Pick a time that works for you, and we'll get on the phone. I'm not going to try to sell you anything. We'll talk about your business. You'll get a free hour of some of the best coaching you could possibly have. And I don't say that to brag, but the truth is I have worked with advisors for Encore Partners since 2002, and longer than that if you consider the 30-plus years I've been working in the financial advice business. And I have seen it all. There's nothing that you can throw at me that I haven't experienced in some way and that I can't help you get pointed in the right direction. Because if you really want to stand out in the crowd, if you want to be the best version of yourself, if you want to realize that picture of success that you have for yourself, you need to have a plan. And you can start that plan by spending some time with me. Okay, that's it. I'm going to stop. I get really excited about this because I love spending time with advisors. And I do it because, quite honestly, when I talk to you, it's a thrill. I love giving ideas and seeing the light bulbs come on. And sometimes during those calls, we'll decide to work together. And that's okay, but that's not the purpose of the call. The purpose of the call is to create a deep dive strategy that will allow you to start working towards your next level of success. Awesome. I appreciate, again, your time for being on this call. I hope you understand my genuine excitedness about this topic. It's truly one of my favorite things. I'm addicted to it. I think it's really cool to learn new things and share new things and help each other get better. And really, that's what my business and I'm all about. Thanks for listening in, and hopefully we'll talk real soon. Take care.